Welcome back, guys. Actually, I'm the one that's been away for a while. I do apologize for that. So I guess it's welcome back to me. But I'm here now, and I am going to be giving you guys as much information as I can in order to make sure that when you buy your first home or your first investment property, you have the information that you need to make really the best decisions possible. This is Nadine, Realtor ATX. This is Real Talk. Let's do this. As you guys may know, the market has been in a bit of a tailspin since the Fed began raising interest rates and really trying to bring prices of all sorts, food, housing, down, right? So here are some things that I would like to talk about today, and that is sellers' concessions that you might expect during a buyer's market. All right, so let's get into a few of those. Let's start with property taxes. How about prepaid property taxes? Now, a lot of times when you're at closing, what will happen is that, of course, the seller will pay the portion of that year's taxes, that applies to the time that they actually lived in the home, and you will pay the rest as the buyer. Now, during a buyer's market, you could ask the seller to actually cover the entire year's property taxes. So that's something to consider, definitely a negotiation tool when you're buying during a market like this. Something else that you might want to take a look at would be title insurance. Now, personally, when I'm setting up a contract and negotiation, just right off the bat, I actually like to ask the seller to pay for title insurance. I kind of just feel like, you've lived in it for as long as you have, and now you're trying to sell it to someone else. I think that you, the seller, should be responsible for making sure that you're passing on a clear title. So while yes, you could use it as a negotiating tool to ask them to pay for the title insurance during a market like this, as I said, as a way to bring down price or help you pay your closing costs. Again, personally, I like to always ask the seller to pay for the title insurance. Now, there are a bunch of fees that you will have to pay at closing for various things that you could ask the seller to pay for. How about your loan origination fees? Now, the bank is going to ask you to pay them to process your loan. Those are called loan origination fees, and you could ask the seller to pay for those. You could also ask the seller to pay for your inspection fees. Now, normally, I think that that's something that the seller might balk at. It is your inspection. You're hiring someone that you trust, and the seller, if you ask them to pay for those fees, they may want to choose the inspector. Why would you do that? So maybe that one is a little bit kind of a fringe ask. You may want to actually pay for your own inspection, just so that you feel that you've gotten the inspection that you want to get by a trusted advisor that you choose. Recording fees, of course, you can ask for things like that as well. Bigger ones might be the attorney's fees. Now, some states do require an attorney at closing. Not here in Texas, not here in Austin where I am, but some states do require that, and you may ask the seller to pay those fees for you. And finally, but definitely not least, a concession you could ask for would be that the seller pay some points for you. In fact, the seller may already be offering to pay points to any prospective buyer, but you can ask for them to pay points as well as part of your negotiation. That way, what will happen is the seller will give you some money, 1 point or 2 point. Now, a point usually equals 1%. So let's say they're going to pay 1% advanced interest on your loan, bringing the loan rate down from, say, 6% to 5%. You could also pay more and bring it down even more. That's an excellent negotiation tool, but just one little note. If you do want to pay down a rate, you could also do it yourself. That's something the bank would love to speak to you about if you want to buy down your own rate. But here we're talking about seller's concessions. So let's ask the seller to buy down our rate by a point or two. Now, one caveat, there are limits. The seller may not be able to pay all of your closing costs. Speak with the loan officer when you're dealing with this. There are some ways around certain things sometimes, but based on Fannie Mae and HUD, there are some limitations, so be aware of those. Guys, hit me up in the comments with questions. Some of those questions may become episodes. Subscribe and never miss out on key information for your investment future. Remember, financial freedom is accessible. Let's get there together. Nadine, Realtor ATX, out.